Hey, AvidMax Fly Tires, welcome back to AvidMax Tying Tuesday. Brady there, back with you once more. Today we're going to tie the Rickards, or gray, Callibaetis nymph. Nice little simple lake bug for your Callibaetis needs. So we'll throw our hook in a vise. Today we're going to be using a new Umpqua series hook. This is one of their competition. It's the XC290BL. So it's a great little nymph wet hook. Got a 1X long shank on it, and then a wide gape as well with that limerick bend, which is a cool bend that I always enjoy using. First thing we're going to use is a little bit of UTC 70 denier in tan, just some straight tan thread on this one. So we'll go ahead and dress our hook and walk it on back just a little ways down the bend. I'll go past where that barb would be. This is a barbless hook. So just a little bit past and then go up one to keep that in place. And then we're going to put our first material down. This is the main material, or one of the main materials for this bug. We're using some mallard flank and then the dyed wood duck color. So I'm going to pull some of this off of the stem. I want some of that mottled bit, so we'll get rid of some of the lower fluffier stuff. And this will be our tailing as well as the backing. So we'll pull that off, try and keep our tips aligned, and then measure our length. We're going to do, I like kind of a long tail, so I'm going to go pretty much the same distance of where my thread is. Measure it out and then secure that right on top. And then we'll use that as a little bit of our underbody to build up just a little bit of bulk. Clip off the tips. And then we're ready for our ribbing. Use some UTC wire, the small copper wire. Throw that in right on the side. This is a great little Callibaetis nymph for your lake fishing if you're doing some Stillwater, targeting those bigger trout. This is an important mayfly that exists in a lot of lake systems, and a great little imitation for that. So now we'll get a little more mallard flank in the wood duck flavor. And I'll do quite a bit. I'll do about twice as what I did for the tail there to give a nice thick backing material. And I always like to clip off the butt ends to get a nice clean tie-in right on top. And we'll secure that right on the back and then cover it on up and prepare to dub out the fly. And for this pattern, it's a little bit of hare's ear, just the all-time great material, hare's ear dubbing. I'm using the hairline blend, which is a nice natural blend. It's got a good mix of the more fine fibers as well as the nice picky fibers, so you get really, really buggy fly. And I always use a little bit of wax to help dub on my noodles when I'm using this stuff, and I don't want to do, if I wanted it to be pickier, I would do it in a dubbing loop, which you could do. We'll just do a nice tight dubbing noodle here. And go ahead and take that on up. So nice and even, don't need too much of a taper on this bug. Just gonna dress our fly nicely here. Pretty simple, pretty quick tie, especially once you've done a bunch of these. And they're worth having a lot of them in your box when you hit those lakes. Go on up, leave ourselves just a little bit of room to finish things off here. And we're gonna add our hackle. The hackle for this is just a whiting. I'm using a cape, just some of the grizzly, standard grizzly. And we'll undersize it. So I'm going to select one off here. And just kind of measure that out. That's a good decent size, so quite a bit smaller than the gape on this. Not a true dry fly hackle. Tying it in that traditional fashion though. So we'll prepare this right on the front end here. And capture that. Sneak around it, make sure we got it nice and secure in place. And then we're only going to do 3, maybe 4 wraps with this rearward. So just some kind of real large open palmer wraps to create some legginess to this fly. And just makes it look super, super buggy. Get a lot of action on it. Get our wire out of the way from that backing. We can capture our hackle with our wire and follow that on forward. And I'm not too worried if I trap it with this because I want them kind of haywire on this pattern. It's a subsurface fly, so you're not worried about having that hackle helping to keep your dry fly riding high. It's more for the imitation than anything. We'll get that wire out of the way. Clip out our hackle. And then I like to trim the top before I bring my backing on over because it'll just give us a nice smooth lay down of this backing material. So we'll capture that on the front, make sure that's secured. Could leave those long if you felt like it too, that gives a nice buggy look. Traditionally this is trimmed here. And then we'll finish with a whip finish and follow it up with one more step. Got our thread, and we're going to come in with some UV finish, so that's all that's left here. Find my Solares, get my UV light ready. So I'm going to use, this is the thin, you could use the thick, it would be maybe a little bit easier with the thick because it's not going to run on you as much. But this thin tends to absorb pretty well into that mallard flank material, and then you can kind of build up on top of it. So we're just create a nice translucent backing there, and we'll hit it with our UV light. And then I'll typically come back in on a second round and just make sure that I got sort of a nice uniform round, even back. Give it a second, it kind of rounds out. You can flip it over and let it shape on you a little bit, and then tag it with that UV light. But that's all there is to this Callibaetis nymph, the Rickards, also known as just the gray Callibaetis nymph. Great little bug, awesome on your still waters. Trout, love it.